You have a bag on your head.
Yeah.
What is the bag for? Is it just fashion? Is that the new cool thing that kids are doing these days?
Yes. I'm going to make a hat, and it's like going to be a puppet, but for my head.
Wow.
It's going to be a koala. Today is pajama day because it's spring break. I have breakfast food on my pajamas.
Wow. That makes me hungry.
I have a lot of things. I have flowers, a lion. I have a bunny somewhere, a fox somewhere, a owl somewhere, and a unicorn somewhere too.
Wow. I like unicorns a lot.
I have a banana, 2 different kinds of donuts, apple juice, bacon, orange juice, bacon, milk, and toast with an egg on it, and did I always say banana?
I think you did. But that's a good thing that you did, because we're going to talk about bananas in Colombia.
2 different kinds of donuts, too.
It looks delicious. I don't know how you can resist eating your shirt all day. Are you going to wear that all day? Yeah. And your hat, Quinn, have you ever made a hat like this before, or is this a new idea?
I think it's a new idea.
I think it could be a business. Have you considered making hundreds and thousands of the hats and selling them to your neighbors? Other people might want to buy them if they're really cool and have good art.
I could, but this is the only paper bag we have.
Maybe your mom and dad can buy you more paper bags. What do you think, Rachel?
I'd be open to the idea, especially if she has
money.
A good business plan.
We could get more money.
And what would you do with the money, Quinn? What would you buy?
New things for our basement.
Oh.
Cool. That'd be cool.
We still need like thousands more dollars for the basement
to finish our basement.
Yeah,
I know.
you want to renovate the basement a little bit.
They're not very sturdy, so it's gonna be $5 of that.
Well, you'll have to think of interesting ways to make it attach. That'll be your homework project over spring break. You can think of how to make it tight to your head so that people can wear it and it'll stay up and pretty. And then you can design them, and every single one will be a little bit different.
Maybe you could I ripped it so it would fit me. I ripped it so it would fit because it was too small. Or maybe you could tie a strong string to it and connect it over there so it would stay.
I think there's a lot of ideas, and you guys are going to have lots of time to brainstorm it over spring break. But today, we don't have that much time to talk about Colombia, and we have so many things to cover because it's such an interesting country. What do you think? So, what do you know about Colombia so far? Surely Mom has told you some things.
That it's coffee. They have a lot of coffee, and that it's right next to Brazil, and they have a lot of paintings on the walls.
That is true. All of those things are true. Anything else, or is that all the things you know?
Mommy's been there.
That is true. I saw her there, so I can verify that fact.
It has coastline.
Yeah. In fact, it has coastlines on both sides of the ocean. It touches the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean.
It's very
green. The U.S. does too, except there's a lot of land on the U.S. In Colombia.
It's very green.
It is very green.
And also, they have a lot of land, and they have a lot of ocean.
You guys are getting good. You're learning a lot about these countries before we even have our sessions. Very nice. Well, we can talk in more detail about all of those things. And I like that you mentioned how green it is, because Colombia is actually the second most biodiverse country in the whole world, meaning it has lots of different fruits and animals and all kinds of interesting things that are alive.
What's the first one?
Tons of diversity. What's the first one? I think it's Brazil. We'll cover it later today. We'll take a look at some of the most biodiverse countries, but most of them are right down in here, all these countries in South America, right near the equator. because with the sun all year round, it's like summer all the time. And so Colombia, it's always summer. So, Colombia, does that name ring a bell? Colombia. Does it remind you of someone?
Christopher Columbus?
Exactly. Christopher Columbus. There's a holiday with that name, isn't there? Columbus Day. Do you know why they named it Columbus Day?
Because it was the name of the country and that guy.
Yeah, that's part of it. And Christopher Columbus, he's actually from originally Italy, but then he lived in Portugal and Spain. So you've learned about both Portugal and Spain. And Spain, you know what they did? They said, Christopher, you like to go on boats and you like to explore new things. You're curious. So we're going to give you a whole bunch of money to go all around the world and discover new lands. Because back in that time, a couple hundred years ago, people over in Spain and Portugal didn't know about South America. They didn't have phones. They didn't have maps. They had no idea that it even existed. So they knew about India and some of the other places that they could travel to on foot. And they thought, we'll send him on a boat to India. And so when Christopher Columbus and his team went and found the Americas, they thought they landed in India at first. So they thought they were all the way over here, but they weren't. They were over here. And they explored all of these different lands. And so he's very famous because he has done so much exploration.
Yes.
And they mapped the world. He was one of the ones to create the original maps. So here we have Google Maps, and we can zoom in and out all over the world. We could zoom in on Greenland and Iceland. We can zoom in on Pennsylvania. We can go into Tanzania and learn all kinds of things. But today we'll learn about Colombia. So you're making all kinds of weird signs.
Yes.
Zooming.
What is this? Is that his? Is that zooming in and out?
Yeah.
I see. Pinch, pinch. So, Colombia has a lot of people. It doesn't have as many as Brazil or Mexico, but it's the next up on the list for all of South America. So it has 50 million people. Do you remember any other countries that had close to 40 or 50 million people?
Portugal?
Portugal was smaller. It had more like 10 million. So it was kind of like the size of Haiti.
Argentina?
Argentina is a good one. Yeah, Argentina is right there with Colombia. Also a very big country. Good job.
And Peru.
Peru's pretty big as well. And even Spain. Spain over in Europe was pretty similar size to Argentina and Colombia as well. And in fact, you know, there's a lot of countries that speak Spanish. And if we look at all of the people who speak Spanish in the world and where they all live, 25% of them, or 1 out of every 4, lives in Mexico. But 1 out of every 10 lives in Colombia. And 1 out of every 10 lives in the US. And so if you look at where all the Spanish speakers live, 1 out of every 10 is there. Isn't that crazy that 1 out of 10 is in the US too? Here are some photos of Cartagena. It was one of the cities along the coast that your mom and I went to. And Cartagena is very interesting. It's a whole city with a very, very historical look that is built right up against the ocean. It's really hot, and it has both sort of an old historical look and it has a modern side. So they have a whole fortress with an old wall where they had built basically a wall to protect themselves from invaders, but they also have the modern city. So let's look at the wall.
Can you do a little bit of less talking, because Mommy wants to teach about it too, because she's been in it too.
That is Hayden's
Absolutely.
perception of what's happening. I'm actually looking forward to, after this lesson, looking at all the pictures that I took in the places that we're learning about today, so we can talk a little more about it.
And Mommy wants to teach about it.
Oh boy. Well, Rachel, if you want to chime in at any point, you know you're welcome.
Yes, I do.
Boy.
Oh boy. Here's one of the places that your mom and I went to. It is on a little island right across from Cartagena, and we got to sit down on this beach and lounge in these chairs and sit in the sun and have all kinds of good conversation and juices and fun.
That is so pretty.
Yep.
You're so
so pretty.
lucky.
And your mom will show you a picture of this, but over across the island, you can see the city. You see the city off in the background?
Yeah.
It was really neat.
What are those things?
Which
Your
thing?
little gate.
Oh, the little gate. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, just to mark their territory. There's also a beach called Santa Marta. So I went and spent 1 week up in Santa Marta. So it was a little city, and then they had like a national park called Tayrona, and it was beautiful. So here's what the city looked like, or one of the cities nearby Santa Marta. And then here's where Tayrona Beach was. And you can see how cool it is. It's like right in nature, and they have big rocks and boulders. So you can go into the blue water and hang out. And they had this one thing called Mirror Beach, where the land was shaped in such a way where it came in and it converged, and you had beach on both sides. So you could go in the middle, and you could jump into this water, and then you could run back across and jump in the other, and back and forth, and back and forth.
That would be exhausting.
It would be exhausting. But you could also, after you got all exhausted, sleep in this little hammock. This is at the top of the Mirror Beach. So they have this little mountain, or a little mound here, a hill, and up in there they have hammocks. So you can hang out in the hammock in the shade and look at all the other people running in and out of the beach if you just want to sit and relax. It was super neat. They also have some pretty big cities. So this one is Medellin, and it was the main city that I lived in while I was there, and where your mom and I spent time together. And I loved it. It was one of my favorite cities in the whole world. It is one of my favorite cities in the whole world. It was beautiful. It was in the mountains. It had great coffee and coffee shops and places to hang out, really friendly people, good juices, and great internet. I loved the internet. A lot of places don't have super strong internet. You know, we're lucky that here in Taiwan we have good internet, and there in Pennsylvania you have good internet because we can talk with no disruptions. But sometimes that's not the case. Medellin, they have great internet. So I really, really enjoyed it. What do you guys think about Medellin?
Good.
Good? You want to see the art, don't you?
Whoa. Mommy standing in front of that art.
Yes, she did. Do you recognize which one she was in front of?
She took a selfie of herself.
A selfie of myself.
Do you recognize which one she took her photo with?
I do. I recognize several that I have photos of.
It's this one.
Which one? I can't.
First one.
Here we go.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a good photo of her in front of this wall. It's really cool art. But Medellin's not the only city that has really cool art. There's also a city called Guatapé, which we went to. And this entire town has the whole buildings colorful. Look at some of these photos. It was so cool.
Mommy has a picture of one of that building. The building.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Mommy can take.
That's right.
I don't
and
need to
right
take
out
this.
Right outside of Guatapé, they have this giant rock. It's one of the biggest rocks in the world, and it just sticks right out of the ground. Look how big that is.
Why are there those wood things?
These are stairs. These are stairs so you can climb up the rock. That's how tall it is. It's like 10 houses tall, or maybe 20 houses tall.
We walked up all those stairs to get to the top.
What was on top?
On the top? Well, this is what the view looked like when. Well, actually, no, that's not the view. Let's see. This is the view right here. So up on top, there were just places to sit and look out and some snacks, but you could look around and you saw all kinds of water and mountains like this. It was basically, it's a lake, or what you might call a dam. So they had sort of plugged the river, and when they plugged the river to harness it for energy, like we learned about with the lesson yesterday with Iceland, it filled up water all over the land and made this funky looking lake.
Why does it look like there's like a tiny house on top of it?
There was a little tiny house on top. That's where they served snacks. So you could sit in the shade and buy some snacks.
Were people up there?
Yeah. There were even some little shops up there where you could buy souvenirs, you could buy juice and smoothies. It was such a long walk up that I started to get lightheaded at the top of it. And I thought I was going to pass out. Faint.
And on the lakes, a lot of people will go there and relax for the weekend, or they'll go out and they'll do water sports. So you can see people jet skiing or even flying on flyboards, shooting water out so they can fly.
I want to do that. Yeah.
I think you have to be a little bit older, but when you're older, you should definitely try it. I've never tried it, but you should.
Quinn's almost 9.
Well, you have to be 150 to do that, waterboarding.
And I don't think most people would live that long.
Did I say 150? I meant 15. Sometimes I add a 0.
And in fall I'm going to turn 7.
Nice. That's super exciting.
And it's spring right now.
9 and 7. Well, when you guys are 7 and 9, we can teach you other lessons. What do you want to learn when you're 7 and 9?
How to jet ski.
How to jet ski? All right, we'll see. We can at least show you. Maybe when you're 7 and 9, we can show you more videos instead of pictures.
I'll be 9 before we go back to school again.
Maybe.
Probably.
In May, which is in May 6th, Quinn's gonna turn 9, and it's April right now.
Super soon. Really close. 1 month away.
All right, let's hear about this.
Yeah, so this is called Kokora Valley. You guys know about palm trees, right? You've seen palm trees?
Yeah.
Kokora Valley has palm trees in the mountains, and they're the tallest palm trees in the world. Imagine a palm tree, except instead of the normal size, it's 5 times larger, 5 times taller. They were enormous, so big. Pretty neat, right? Mountain palm trees. And this, I think you guys will really like. Do you guys fall out of your chair? You're that stunned by the palm trees.
Quinn, you're missing something pretty awesome right now, though.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to like this one.
Whoa, what is that? Whoa.
It's a rainbow river. This is a real river. This is not fake. This is actually a river. It's plants and algae that grow inside the river. And the way that they're grown, they take on all different kinds of color.
Did they dye the river?
No, it's plants that are that color, and they sit under the water.
Get up and stay up. This is a lesson from your teacher, Uncle Drew.
I think it's because they're in pajamas and or because it's the day before spring break. Could be a factor.
Actually, it is spring break.
It is. Oh, today's the start of spring break. So this is your last lesson before you get to go play.
Yesterday was the start of spring break.
Crazy. Well, then we have 10 minutes left to teach you a bunch of things before you can go play. How's it sound? Good? Yay. So this is the city of Bogota. It is their capital city. It is their biggest city. There are tons of people who live here. And do you know what Bogota has? More art. Look at all the art.
Camels. Mommy, did you
guys
go
know Star Wars?
We did not go to Bogota.
Whoa.
I did not.
A camel or a llama. It's a llama. It's a llama.
And they're in space fighting.
It's a llama.
Super fun.
A llama and a pig fighting. Yeah. It's a llama and a rat. Yeah, it's a llama and a rat fighting.
Yep.
But the rat is creepy. He has 2 tongues. The rat has 2 tongues.
That is a little creepy. I see what you mean.
Hey, what is that? What is?
I think it's a robot. I think that's what you're seeing. So one of the things that's interesting.
That you're holding?
It's a pen. Do you know about pens? Do you want me to teach you about pens instead of Colombia?
No.
Oh, well then maybe I should keep talking about Colombia. What do you think?
No.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. So you guys like animals, right? You know how it was a super green country, right? They've got tons of animals. This is what I was talking about with the biodiversity. A lot of the country is the Amazon. And they have, as I said before, the second most biodiversity in the world after Brazil. And the other ones are all countries nearby. So we learned about Mexico. We learned about Peru. You guys have heard of the United States, right? You know about that one?
Yeah, in there. Okay.
It actually has.
We live in the
most
United
biodiversity.
States, okay?
Are you sure about that?
Are you trying to be silly?
Yes.
A bit rude.
Well done. So, more animals. Lots and lots of animals. They have all the animals, including poison frogs. Beautiful
They're not
poison
actually
frogs.
poisonous.
They are actually poisonous.
I thought
They are poisonous.
They are.
I thought the name was poisonous. They weren't.
Yeah, you don't want to touch them. I saw one of these blue ones while I was there. When I was on that Tirona beach with the mirror beach, I was hiking over to the water, and on the trail, one of these little blue frogs jumped in front of me, and I picked it up and I petted it. No, I didn't. I didn't. I knew that they were poisonous, so I didn't touch it. I was scared of it. They also have emeralds. Have you guys ever seen emeralds?
That's my birthstone.
That's your birthstone.
I've never
Well, maybe your
seen it.
birthstone is from Colombia. They have lots and lots of emerald rock, and they ship them all over the world. So maybe if you have emeralds, they're from Colombia.
Do you have any emeralds?
I don't think so.
I would
But
have got one.
I did have some good food while I was there. So this is their classic traditional food. They eat plantains and beans and avocados. I ate a lot of avocados and rice and eggs and all kinds of different meats. That's what they like to eat the most.
Can you stop for a minute? I want to tell Mom something.
What? We'll talk about it later. Yeah, no, jump back into the lesson.
Okay.
All right, one of the other things that they really like to eat are arepas. They're similar to quesadillas, but a lot smaller and super delicious. They really like a lot of things that are bready, lots and lots of bread and lots of cheese. They also eat things called pan de bono and buñuelo, which are both little cheese balls, fried bread and cheese.
Yum.
They also eat a lot of empanadas. Do you remember which other countries eat empanadas? There was one country that loves empanadas and meat and wine.
Spain?
Spain loves all those things. That's actually a really good guess, but it was Argentina. Argentina eats a lot of empanadas.
Argentina, yes.
They also eat tostones, which are kind of like they're smushed plantains. This is really popular in Haiti as well, if you remember. Or patacones, they're called. This was my favorite drink in all of Colombia. It's called limonada de coco, which means coconut lemonade. Have you ever had coconut candy or coconut flavor?
I've had a real live coconut, and I don't like the inside of it.
Well, do you like coconut candy?
It wasn't fresh. It wasn't fresh.
They're like the little coconut balls that we make often around Easter.
And the ones in the muffins, big giant.
Yeah, the coconut muffins.
See,
yeah,
coconut.
it's just like it was actually a real live coconut.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, limonada de coco or coconut lemonade is really sweet. So it's kind of like a milkshake. Not quite a milkshake, but it's really yummy. They also make lots of coffee, which you already know, so I won't spend much time there. They make lots and lots of bananas. I think you guys have had bananas before, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, they're so good. Mommy doesn't like them. Mommy hates them.
I see. They have lots and lots of fruits. Tons of fruits, including papaya, which is this orange one down here, and grenadilla, which is this one, where it has all kinds of funky seeds inside of it that kind of look like aliens. But it's super yummy, I promise. So one of the things that's important to know about Colombia is that they also sell a lot of drugs. So they make a lot of fruit and they make a lot of coffee, but they also make a lot of drugs, which isn't so good. And they ship them all over the world, which means with all these things that they can make, with the drugs and the foods and the different types of things that they sell, they make lots of money. And these are Colombian pesos. Their money looks a little bit different than the US dollar. And guess how many Colombian pesos is equivalent to $1 US? How many?
A lot. A lot.
Guess a number.
50?
More.
100?
More.
200.
More.
500.
More.
2,000.
More than 1,000.
5,000.
Less than 5,000. It's 4,000 Colombian pesos is equal to $1 US. That's how many.
I was gonna say 2,000.
That would have been a good guess. You would have been pretty close.
Please.
All right, we're gonna show a couple final photos of the things they like to do with their fun time just before you guys can go have your fun time. So these are some of the people of Colombia. They live in a very hot climate. And what happens when people live in hot climates? What happens to their skin?
The good stuff.
Bingo.
Sun
They have
tan.
slightly darker skin.
Sun.
And they love to dance. And they love colors, just like Quinn. Dancing colors. They have carnival, kind of like in Rio.
Whoa.
And tons of dancing and colors and fun in the streets.
Whoa.
And they also have a lot of people from Venezuela. Do you guys know about Venezuela? Venezuela is their neighboring country. And Venezuela has been having a lot of problems the past 5 years. Have you ever had friends who have something that they're having a hard time with and they want to come spend time with you because you're maybe not having a hard time and you comfort them?
Yes.
Well, that's what's happening in Venezuela. There's a lot of people who are having a hard time in Venezuela and they're coming over to Colombia. It happened yesterday. Wow, recent.
Now, Quinn's friend Natalie broke her bike and her tire. With her tire, it blew out, but they didn't have a pumping up machine, so Quinn had to FaceTime her.
Oh, well, hopefully that was very nice of you, Quinn, and hopefully Natalie appreciated that. I'm sure she did.
Oh yes,
just like did. Venezuelans appreciated their Colombian friends. And what do you think their favorite sport is?
Soccer!
You got it. You got it. So that's Colombia in a wrap. What do you think?
Any questions about Colombia?
Any questions about what I'm going to do right after this call? How I'm going to play? Are you guys going to play right after this call? I'm going to play.
Maybe. Yes.
Maybe?
Quinn, come back.
Probably getting your joke book. What are you going to play,
Hayden? With Quinn. I need to go get a joke book. Go.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.